Alright, Rogers here. So I'm going to do a real short video about motor specifications. And it'll have a little bit about how they're composed, like what makes them, what their parts are, because you need to know that to understand the specifications. But that aside, I'm not talking about building or tuning or, you know, any form of disassembly or anything like that to any long extent. So, right, here's what airsoft motors look like, right? These are long types, and they have a few features that make them particularly nice in comparison to other motors. The first big thing that I'll touch on is the magnet type. Now, if you look inside and compare, we'll say these two, if you notice how the magnets on the left hand side are shiny, they reflect the light and look almost like a mirror, whereas on the right they're dull gray and everything. The main difference there is, and I'm going to pronounce this improperly, but neodymium, they're referred to most commonly as neomagnets, okay, on the left here, the shiny ones. On the right, you have the gray ferrite magnets, or ferrous, or I don't really care, it doesn't really matter. The idea is, the names that is, the idea is that, I mean, with with upgrading, if you're gonna go anything beyond, if you're gonna go anything beyond like a M110 or M120 or even up to those, right, up to an M120, the motors with the weak magnets like this, they just don't do the trick, okay? So, to give you an idea, this won't even pick it up, doesn't even notice it's there, but clearly this one easily notices that it's there and picks it up, okay? That makes a massive difference in motor efficiency and what it's capable of putting out and everything, okay? And then, you know, as I guess a small point to touch on, so does the spacing between the magnet, and this is the armature, okay? And that's what fits into here, and see, the armature goes in there like that. Right here are the brushes on the inside. I'm sorry, I'm getting off the camera here. Okay, so the brushes are inside the motor tower here, okay, and they spin on the commutator right here, and the pinion goes up on the top of the armature. Well, so the next important specification, right, is actually the armature itself, okay, so, or is part of the armature itself, and that is the actual windings of wire on the armature. And it's sort of difficult to show, but it seems pretty clear that this motor has more windings that are thicker gauge than this one. If it's hard to tell, then I'll just go ahead and tell you it does. This came out of this Echo 1 motor, which also had neomagnets. Now, here's the thing. There's a balance that you run into, okay? So, the armatures, the higher the turns of copper that are on the armature, it's referred to, that spec is referred to as TPA. The higher the TPA, the slower it will spin, but the more torque it will have, the more startup power it's going to have, all that kind of stuff. But it's the key component is it is slower, okay? But the more turns, you know, the more it will do that, right? The fewer the turns, the faster it will go, but the less, or at least amount of torque it has, right? You know, and generally specifications range from 14 to 32, but the 32s are kind of hard to come by, or they can be at least, reliably. You can buy 22s pretty easily. I think maybe even 28s if you find the right buyer, but, or I'm sorry, excuse me, if you find the right seller. But anyway, so between the magnets and the TPA, the turns on the armature, those are probably the two most meaningful specifications in a motor. Now, they can be tuned to have better efficiency and everything, which is great, but generally speaking, when you're predicting rate of fire and when you're figuring out what a system can handle, those are the two specs that are going to make the most difference. Now, that aside, I mean, I guess it's just important to say that, you know, you can actually take apart motors and tune them and everything, but like I said, I'm not really going to go there. If you want to find those specifications, there are plenty of forum threads that have that kind of information. Airsoft Mechanics has a great thread up right now. It's a list of neodymium or neomagnet motors. I can't pronounce that word. Anyway, so you know, if you're like in the market for a motor, try to make sure that you buy at least, I mean, if you're not going to worry about TPA, if you can't find the right one, or you don't know what to do with TPA, at least find one with neomagnets. Okay? Alright. That's enough. Well, we'll catch y'all later.